Hi, church family. I'm in my inner office today, what I call my study, and this is where I prepare a lot of my messages to preach to you on Sunday. And as soon as I get through with this video, I'm going to have a meeting with our senior staff team, and then I'm going to be in my study a good bit of the day preparing to preach the message I'll be sharing with you on Sunday. I'm excited about the new series because we are going to be leading up to Easter, and the series is entitled Walking to the Cross Through the Gospels. And I'm going to take a sermon out of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And this particular sermon this coming Sunday is going to be out of the Gospel of Matthew. And I hope you'll join us at 10:15 for our live streaming of that particular service. I did want to share a devotional thought with you today, and that's the purpose of my coming to you. We need to be encouraged. We need to be looking to the Word of God, and God will comfort us and direct us and strengthen us as we kind of walk through a different season at this particular time. I also wanted to be able to share a quick clip of our church ministry. In the midst of this, we're still ministering. As you know, today is Election Day in Illinois. It does seem like we're going to vote no matter what, but it has been our tradition here at Calvary, because we happen to be a polling place. We try to minister to the poll workers who are here. And one of the things that you need to know, we have people who come in and help prepare a meal that they can come in and get. And we have Rod and Dee Leidner that are helping to prepare that meal today. And we are so glad for willing servants who are willing to come out and minister to other people. And so we have an opportunity to see them. And I want to thank Rod and Dee so much for what they're doing today to cast a little bit of light on a day like today as well. One of our church members, Josh Rich, has been working the poll for quite some time. He's worked here at the Calvary polling place, and he comments on what Calvary's ministry means even to the poll workers on election days like this. Listen to him for just a moment.
Hi, I'm Josh Rich. I'm a deacon here at Calvary Baptist, and I want to tell you about how Calvary ministers to the people in the polling place today on Election Day. I'm also an election judge in the 9th Precinct for Alton, and we have 2 polling places in Calvary Baptist right in our gym. And the first thing, how we minister to them, is we have the facility. It's well lit, it's an open space. So our gym serves not only as a great thing for Upward, but also to be able to help the people in the polling place. We're also notorious at Calvary Baptist for providing food for the people who work in the precinct. They clamor to try to get in to work in either Alton 9 or Alton 25 because the Leidners or anybody else who's on the committee are taking care of them. And they start to ask questions about things that are happening in the church by what they see in the gym. So all of the posters that are up for Upward, they're asking about those scriptures, what the team names are, that type of thing. So it really opens up an opportunity for us to share with them about, if they don't even have a church home, we offer that opportunity for them too. And they see the staff come down and make sure that we're being taken care of. And that really strikes a chord with them. And they go away thinking, I think that this church really does care for people, which exemplifies what Calvary Cares is all about.
Isn't that great? What a blessing it is to know that Calvary's still at work and shining light in our community. Now here's the devotional thought that I want to share with you, and let me just set it up this way. There's a lot going on, a lot of decisions being made. We're finding our movement restricted somewhat. And it just happens to be the way it is. There's no use complaining about it. We may not agree with every decision that's made, but we're far beyond that. I don't really get into that, because people have responsibilities and they need to make decisions that are for the benefit and welfare of the people. But given that, let me just share with you something that I thought about recently. My dad, who passed away a few weeks ago, had a lot of sayings, as many of our parents did, and it just seems many of those have crept back into my mind as I've had time to reflect on my dad and his life and his legacy and even his input into my life. And one of the things that Dad used to say, especially in his later days, he'd say to me, well, son, it is what it is. Just deal with it. A lot of people would say I got that straightforward gene from my dad as well. And he's right. It is what it is. Deal with it. But it even goes beyond that for the Christian. I was thinking about the message series I just got through preaching, and we were looking at the life of Joseph here recently. And just think about it for a moment. Joseph was thrown into a pit by his brothers. He was sold into slavery by his brothers. He became a slave in Potiphar's household. And his character and attitude and actions were such, he was eventually entrusted with everything in that household. He and his master profited, actually benefited from God's hand on Joseph because of the way he responded to that. When he was falsely accused and thrown into prison, he did the same thing. Attitude, action, character. The keeper of the prison put him in charge of everything. When eventually he got out of prison and appeared before Pharaoh, he was so wise and discerning that Pharaoh put him in charge of the whole land to oversee the food distribution and collection. At each stop along the way, Joseph could have thrown in the towel. He could have said, this is not fair. People are not making great decisions for me in my life. They are afflicting me in some ways, but he chose to place his trust in the Lord. And we need to remember that. I was thinking about the Apostle Paul in Philippians chapter 1, verses 12 and 13. He's talking about his chains. He's in prison. And some of us may kind of feel like we're chained a little bit. We're restricted more than we normally are. We can't go to all the places we would like to go to. But you know what Paul said? He said, my chains are actually working out for the furtherance of the gospel. There is something at work here, and that something is actually someone, God Himself. And so we need to be thinking about how even in these days, the gospel can be furthered through our lives and our testimony as we reach out to others. It doesn't do any good to live beneath the circumstances, or even to say, well, I'm doing pretty well under the circumstances. You're not supposed to be under the circumstances. God is in control of all things, and our circumstances is something we can live above if we place our hope and trust in a living God. God bless you, Calvary family. Have a good day, and remember, God is at work.